Welcome back to the show, everyone. I am your host, Arthur G., and this is the Last Call podcast. Today, I'm joined by two powerhouses from one of New York City's most unapologetically visually stunning bars that I've ever seen, because I've actually gone there once, and I almost lost my shit because everything there was fantastic. It is East Village's very own tropical hellscape, Paradise Lost. Today, we have Kitty, Beverage Director and Bar Manager, who is redefining what tropical means through intentionality, heritage, and bold cocktails. If you ever step into that building, you're never going to want to leave, but they have time limits. I'm pretty sure I can't just live there. And Alexandra Marilley, Bartender at Paradise Lost and Bar Manager of the New York's finest club restaurant, HaSalon. She is an NYC veteran with a long history in the New York City craft scene, recognized in multiple cocktail competitions for her unique styles and take on the modern cocktail space. We're diving into how they set fire to traditional Tiki tropes and discuss the new era of New York City bar scene. Kitty, Alexandra, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Of course, man. I'm super excited to have you on. For anyone listening at home who does not know where I met them, I am a very big fan of our local bar, Permanent Vacation. Shouts to Tamara and the team there, Dan and everyone. They had a takeover from Paradise Lost. So, Kitty, tell me about Paradise Lost. How would you describe the space for someone who has never been there? But first, and then tell us what you do there.
Yeah, I would say in the most succinct way possible, it's basically Spooky Rainforest Cafe, or for you Scooby-Doo fans, Spooky Island. Very much demonic, surf rock, punk rock, tiki bar. We take our drinks seriously, but we try not to take ourselves seriously. So there's a little bit of tongue-in-cheek in everything. We love making fun of ourselves about cocktails because nothing's really ever that serious as long as things are good.
You're on the perfect show.
Do.
You're on the perfect show for that. All right, and Alexandra, tell us about you and how you got into the Paradise Lost and what you do.
So I bartend at Paradise Lost. I started about 6-7 months ago. It's my most favorite bar job I've ever had. It's truly a very unique bar with an incredible staff that's very intentionally curated. And I run a club restaurant in Hell's Kitchen. So very different. Like I do two very different things. And yeah, I don't know. That's it. That's me.
You make it sound so. That's a lot. Both of those things are a lot. I guess that's it. Well, well, both of you. So about Paradise Lost, for anyone for people like me, the casuals at Paradise Lost, I like the spoopy, the demonic punk rock. What about that space speaks to you? Because you, especially Alexandra, you made the choice to come over there. Yeah. What about it did you love so much?
When I first came, I was really enamored by the environment and the atmosphere. I truly love how it feels like an escape. It was just like the hallway, like the rainforest hallway, walking down and like going through the fuzzy door. I was like, wow, I feel like I'm entering another realm right now, and then on top of that, I think like when I came and I like had the experience of sitting and being around the environment of the team and the energy that they bring, I was like, oh my God, I have to be here. I just felt so magnetically drawn because of everyone who works here, the team. Kitty's the reason I'm here. So yeah, like the opportunity to learn from Kitty, who's just, if you know Kitty, like Kitty is a wealth of knowledge, an incredible human being who does everything with detail and intentionality. So that's why I picked this spot. I think it's a pretty easy,
It was an easy decision.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Kitty, I want to joke about this because I've talked about it more than once. I knew that you were going to be a knockout bartender when I saw you make Rumplemints Mai Tai palatable. Yeah. And I lost my damn mind. I was like, I don't know why was this made? Who made this? Like, so it was at the takeover, but Kitty, I kind of want to know the origin story. Like, how did you get into was this plan A from the get, or was this, because I've spoken to so many bartenders, and they almost always, one of my favorite bartenders, Billy Maskers, it was just a job so I can pay for jujitsu equipment. It was just, he was a bar back. He wasn't trying to be that. He was going to PT, and then he fell in love with it. What was your origin story, and How did you get in here?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's been pretty much like since day one. I've always wanted to do it. It feels weird to say, but this is my story and I'm sticking to it. I watched Coyote Ugly when I was much younger, and I've only ever seen it all the way through once, and I've never watched the entire thing again in its entirety. But I was just like, that looks like fun. Like those women look like they're having fun. They're doing what they're doing. And it spoke to me as someone from New Jersey, and the main character's name is Jersey in that movie, and she was following her dreams, wanted to move to New York, wanted to make it big. And I was like, that is awesome. I want to do that. I want to like not be in a desk job and just like, typing away on a computer. Granted, like being in an admin capacity now, that's a lot of computer work, but at least where I started was very cocktail and like, drinks hospitality focused.
Nice. Was it, what about Paradise Lost spoke to you? What was this something that, I need to do this? Is this always been your motif and style?
I would say like I'm Filipino, and I think that for myself, I had this like retroactive fascination with the world of tropical cocktails and like the tiki style of cocktailing in the first place. I'm like first generation immigrant. My like mom moved over here with her family when she was still in the Philippines, and then I'm like the first person like in my family who was ever born in the U.S. So for me, learning about that tiki style was actually falling in love with Americana. And as I continue to grow and learn about like the like Americana, the 40s, the 50s, and like this escapism, I fell in love with it. And then I also fell out of love with it because of the really real and present, I would say, problems with cultural appropriation and a lot of the fetishization that happens in the world of tiki. And once I got the pitch for this place, I was a little skeptical. I actually led a lot of conversations and talks within the New York scene when I first moved here about how can we be more mindful, because I actually do love the escapism. I love the adventure. I love the immersive aspect of all tiki bars. But I think that as someone whose history and people and culture are uniquely tied to the tiki style of bartending, that it was really important for me to make sure that we're still, you know, we're preserving the culture of the drinks making, but not preserving the problematic parts of it. And how do we move and grow and learn past that? Because we don't exist in a vacuum. There's always going to be problems with our history, but that doesn't mean that we have to repeat it. So when I heard about this place and when Kave and Ray pitched it to me, I was like, cool, like we're doing something different. It's definitely going to be more of this kind of embracing the other, bringing your shadows to the forefront and understanding what that is. And instead of othering cultures, we want to embrace those others. So that's why I feel really confident in the work that I'm doing here at Paradise Lost. And I feel like in a really cool way, I get to reclaim that tiki history by, instead of being the Filipino in the back where the drinks just, appear in front of you, I get to be the face of this bar that I really appreciate and have grown really, really much a part of.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. As a guy who when I started learning more about tiki, actually all aspects of bartending, all styles, all that, when I'm learning about those, I admittingly felt that tiki was problematic. Like the stylization is like, oh, well, no, it's a blend. I was like, I feel like you're taking the parts you like the most about certain things and trying to make it your own and call it something it's not. But I just got here, so I can't say anything. I mean, you could say stuff. So I love the fact that you took it and made it your own. Escapism is the main core of it, right? And I think escapism is different for everyone. There could be a tiki bar that's sci-fi and horror and everything like that. So I do enjoy that, your approach to it. And you actually beat me to one of my questions about the problematic nature of it. And you have spoken in depth about how it's concerning and how you want to make sure it's, you can't ignore the elephant in the room about why this is a problem. So thank you for doing that and creating that space, right? And just always being in the forefront, because if no one says anything, no one's going to change. But
yeah, and I'm really grateful for the ownership. Like, all three of the owners are from the West Coast. Two are from like the LA Riverside area. So they grew up immersed in this stuff, right? Like they grew up like right down the block from Tonga Hut and Tiki Tea, and like being really immersed in this culture and falling in love with those flavors. Because, where else do you get to say that there is a uniquely, cocktails are uniquely an American invention. And then to see like the new school of what was that back in the day of being like the new iteration of that invention. and to see them be like, okay, this is something that we grew up in, something that we really love, something where it's not just 3 ingredients, it's like 5 plus all these really cool, bold flavors, and not just like simple syrup and, lemon, but more cool things outside of that.
Yeah.
But still be mindful of like, hey, like we grew up in the music scene, we grew up in the punk scene, we grew up in like all these artist spaces, and being an artist and being someone who is like rooted in true punk rock values is it's radical to be kind. It's radical to go against the status quo, which says, patriarchy, hegemony, racism, and to tear those things down and look at them from within. And I think that's the one thing that really, again, like grounds me here at Paradise Lost is that while we want everyone to have fun, do the fire shows and escape and, point at all the little knickknacks and stuff, we still want it to be a uniquely safe space for everyone to feel welcomed into. And not just the people who are like, I know what a Mai Tai is and I've been to 1,000 tiki bars. Like, that's cool. We do want those people in here, but we want to make sure that everyone feels seen and represented properly in this space.
I love that. And Alexandra, now I know why you wanted to work for her, because there's a part of me that right now is like, are you guys hired? I could be a bar back. I could be the dude doing your social media in the back. Hey guys, I'm here at Paradise Lost guy like today. So Alexandra, when you did stop in, you've been 6 months there. What was the first cocktail or moment that you're like, this is what I need to be a part of? Or was it the furry wall, the everything? What was that like? The drink you're like, who is this person? Who made this?
Honestly, the pina colada.
Really?
When I first had that cocktail, I came back and back and back, and I was dreaming about it and thinking about it. I've never in my life had a pina colada that you could really taste like all the different layers of rum. It was creamy. It was strong. It was delicious. It was just so perfect. I was like, and it comes in this little coconut can.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, I have to have this as often as I can, So yeah, that was definitely hands down the first cocktail where I was like,
are you working there strictly for the drinks? Is that what's going on?
The world may never know.
For the record, I did actually buy one of your Book of the Dead's Tiki mugs from when I was there, because I bought a drink and I'm like, what is this? Is this from Evil Dead? Is it Necronomicon? It's like, give me this. Obviously, I paid for it. I don't steal. Like, stealing is bad, kids. Don't do that. Alexandra, how does Paradise Lost compare to the club restaurant? Like different vibes, energies?
All right. It is night and day, quite literally. So for me, right, I guess I'll speak on the club restaurant, right? So it's a very different scene. It's this immersive, it's immersive also, right? But it's this giant space where we essentially do like 200 plus covers within like a 4-hour span. So it is mass, it's high volume, so you're just pumping out as many cocktails as possible within like a 2 seating like time frame. So service will start at like 7 and we'll have 2 rounds of seating, so it will just really just be 2 massive waves of just being flooded with cocktails. It's like, that meme where it's like, keep holding my hand. All right, go, keep holding my hand. Like literally, that's what it's like every day that I'm there. And we're only open on the weekends, so it's just like a shot to your nervous system. Like it's just a crazy, wild experience. Like people get on tables and they dance and they throw napkins around. People get showered with champagne. It's like a crazy, wild, like underground party that happens, right? So that's the club restaurant.
I was not prepared for that. That sounds like Coyote Ugly-ish. What is going on? Okay.
It's crazy. That's why I call it the club restaurant, because it's a restaurant, it's food focused, but then it turns into a club the moment that the food is like once all savory's in, like it's a party. Okay. It's just a crazy, wild, out of control, truly out of control party. And that's that, right? And then Paradise Lost is like the literal complete opposite. It's intentionality. It's craft cocktails. You cannot walk into the door until you ring the doorbell and you get sad and we have your phone number. And it's very much controlled and calm and
This is so weird. Like knowing the chaos that this place like outwardly displays, and it's
I was going to say that.
We have a lot of rules, not gonna lie.
No, we do. Everything here at PL is just so, again, like, and I keep saying the word intentional, but it is like everything is thought out, planned, controlled, like it's done for a reason, right? It's like chaos and then like craft cocktail bliss. Like that's, I don't know.
So there was a bartender who straight up like spit fire while I was there, but there was a whole process for me to walk in the building, and I was like, I'm happy here. It feels great.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask you, I want to go back a little bit to how you ended up working with Permanent Vacation. Is there like an underground secret network of tiki bars, or what? How did that like partnership end up? Because I know they went to you, and I was gonna fly out, but the dates changed. They straight up tomorrow and them asked if you want to come to take photos and stuff. Come. I was like, yeah, perfect. I'm gonna do it. And then the dates changed, so I wasn't able to go. But tell us about that process, what that looks like, and what is, even for those at home who don't know, what a bar takeover is. Kitty, if you want to.
Yeah. I would say when it comes to planning stuff like that, within the realm of bartending, for those who aren't aware, pop-ups and takeovers have been like on the rise, just because it gives everyone a chance to kind of show off their stuff in a different market and, make it more accessible for spaces or people who might not be able to fly up or fly out to where we are. So we've had a lot of experience hosting people at Paradise Lost last year, and this was actually the first year that we got to return the favor and start to fly out and chat and talk and take over other people's bars. But basically, Permanent Vacation and us, we were in talks for like months, like probably the better half of a year, trying to plan and nail down what it means to like bring them over here and then to bring us over there. And a lot of it does kind of boil down to sponsorship. So brands, different, rum brands or spirits brands will kind of work with us. And usually they're the spirits that we work with on the day-to-day, like in our, rum blends, wherever we like make our cocktails. And then if they have enough of a budget to sponsor us, then they'll bring us down and, kind of help out in that space. But it does, it is expensive, so that's why it doesn't necessarily happen very often. But we were really excited and really glad to be able to like nail down a budget, nail down like what it looks like to bring us down there, to bring them up here. And I'm glad that after probably like 8 months of talking back and forth, we figured out like, okay, we pushed this back long enough. Our schedule's finally clear. We're over the hump of October, which is our craziest month, being a spooky, like, tropical bar.
Yeah.
And now it was, I want to say like one of our biggest privileges to knock off like our first takeover of the year of 2026 with Permanent Vacation, and to feel so loved and so cared for, and also to be able to bring newer members of the team down with us. Because before it was just people in management, like myself, the head bartender, whoever was the bar manager before me. But we've recently opened up to the rest of the team based on their seniority within the space. And I think it's been really eye-opening for everyone to just see and experience, one, the hospitality that people have to give in their, respective towns and cities, and to be enveloped and feel so loved as like the guest team that's also trying to give our little bit of hospitality as well.
Oh, you were loved. 100%. People are
very loved.
Yeah, you guys were loved. A lot of people who are listening might not have been there. Drink sold out in what, like 2 hours max?
Yeah, we sold out of our first cocktail within 45 minutes. And then we had to put a wait list for all of our larger formats because we had drinks that could share between 3 and 4 people. That was on a wait list within 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we sold out completely within 2 hours. And that's actually what started the Rumpleman's Mai Tai, is because someone was just like, I've already had the Mai Tai here. I've already had the daiquiri here. Can you make me anything else? And thankfully, our chaotic selves had a Rumpleman's inside of a cocktail already. And so we just finished off that Rumpleman's by making Rumple Mai Tais.
Also just like, I just have to give you your flowers, Kitty, because that's just like peak godly bartending to me. Like, Kitty just like whipped up like a hilarious, delicious, funny cocktail for something. That's just so cool.
With 6 straws and everything. She's like, Kitty's like, everyone, here, go ahead, enjoy yourselves.
Go for it. I mean, I cannot take all the credit. I will say, like, that Mai Tai would only have worked because the folks at Permanent Vacation have an incredible Mai Tai, like, in-house. And all I had to do was just split the base between their Mai Tai and just a little bit of Rumplemans.
Oh, PV, I love going there. Every time I'm in there, I end up way too drunk. But they're really, so I know that even after you guys left, you left an impression. Recently, they had Dirty Dick's Paris there because it's Tiki a Go-Go this weekend. And they did their takeover. While we're having this takeover, I brought up that I was trying to connect with you two. And like 5 people's, their head turned. Dan, everyone's like, oh, you need to do that. You need to make sure the house. I'm going to. There's still the plan. Like, you're not encouraging me. I was already excited. I don't know what's happening with you. Like, I'm going to do it. But multiple people, even just guests there, were like, oh, I love them. They were great. Like, if you get to fly up there, tell them I said hi. I'm like, yeah, I plan to fly up there because I'm from there. I'm from New York City. I'm from the Heights. And yeah, I was like, all right, cool. I thought, I didn't know you guys were going to be this excited. Right. So they loved you. Even after. It's been months. They were still excited. They still remember ya. So keep it up, and hopefully you guys do another takeover. And shoot me a message when you guys do. And even if you show up the Sunday before, I'll do whatever you need for photography, whatever you need. I gotcha.
Thank you.
So now it's part of a package welcoming wagon. But I do need to talk about Sun Series. The Shattered Conch. What the heck? The Shattered Conch, for those at home, is a cocktail I want to really talk about because I've never heard of something like this. So I don't know who wants to start. Tell us about that cocktail. It's a legendary drink. How do you balance the unique? You know what? Go ahead, start. Go.
Honestly, I have to like give a shout out to my buddy Noah Manskar. He's out in LA now doing really cool things. But when he was here in in New York and Brooklyn, he was the head of the program of a bar called Colonia Verde, and they used to do this pop-up series called Nocturnos. And honestly, like, he was one of the first people to reach out to me and ask me to do a pop-up with him. And since we were doing a pop-up in September, I figured it'd be really cool to do like a back to school kind of theme, after school snacks, things that you would make for yourself. And one of the first things that I ever learned how to make for myself as a kid was Spam fried rice. And so I figured, oh, how do I make this into a cocktail? And what is a cocktail that you wouldn't expect Spam or fried rice to be in an old fashioned? So we just like figured out a way to just like, everyone knows how to fat wash. So why don't we just fat wash with the actual protein that you're actually like extruding like fat from?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where like the fried Spam infusion into mezcal happened. And then, orgeat is a toasted almond syrup.
Mm-hmm.
So all I did was make a toasted rice syrup. And so that's where you got kind of like the fried, like wok hei of like the fried rice aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then just your simple Angostura bitters, a little bit of cane. And then we split based it with just a tiny bit of claret just to give it a little bit more punch of that umami. And yeah, it's definitely a divisive cocktail. I learned now that we have a pig's blood martini on the menu that more people want to drink blood than Spam. But yeah, we've now put a moratorium on meat cocktails, but at the time, the Spam cocktail was the one that started it all.
I thought even because I'm a pretty creative person, and I still would not have thought about putting blood in any of my cocktails. And I'm a big horror fan. I'm surrounded. You can't see them because they're not related to the show. I have like the signed Freddy Krueger glove. I have signed Jason. Pig's blood in a cock. Whose idea was that one?
So that's our blood pact, and so one of the other bartenders who used to work here, they were inspired by the Shattered Conch, which is my Spam cocktail. And they're like, oh, if we can do Spam, then we can definitely do blood. And, blood, satanic tiki, that all makes sense. And honestly, that cocktail is a very surprisingly like citrusy and floral cocktail. It does not taste muddy or bloody whatsoever. You literally just get like a hint of iron on the finish, and that's because of the blood sherbet.
Yeah. You know what? I enjoy y'all so damn much. This is so infuriating that you're in New York. What? This is hilarious. So yeah, for those at home, I looked up some of their menu and looked up some legendary cocktails. I was trying to piece things together because bar menus change so frequently, right? When I saw the Shattered Conch, there's absolutely no way I'm going to just gloss by this, but I did not know about the Blood Pact. I apologize for everyone at home that expected me to do better research, because I would have opened with that. What? Alexandra, I know that you've entered into multiple contests for cocktails and craft cocktails. Have you ever wanted to make a blood martini? I'm just like, no. What's your approach when you're thinking about, like, just tell us about that process and what the cocktail contests are. And do you often want to kind of go off on your own, like, I want to do this, screw your rules?
Like when it comes to applying to competitions specifically?
Well, and even in cocktail conception, right? Because now you're around all these very unique cocktails. How does that process go for you 6 months in?
So I've actually so I get to be a part of the PL Craft, the flip soon. We all get together and they require us to all contribute cocktails, which I think is the coolest thing in the world. So I get to be a part of that process soon, so I'll let you know.
Okay.
But I guess when it comes to competitions, I really only apply to ones that speak to me or call out to me or that I feel drawn to. So like I've done daiquiri competitions. I love rum, obviously. So I've done some daiquiri competitions. But when I guess when I make cocktails, I personally like to be inspired by nostalgia. So for me, the way I feel drawn to make things is I want to recreate something I had as a kid or something that I love, and I want to recreate that moment and that experience in a cocktail. And then I hope that when other people have it, they are like, "Oh my God, this tastes like when I was a kid and I had this and that." And I don't know. That's kind of why I make what I make, and that why I build what I do the way I do.
Tell us about the daiquiri that you submitted for the contest.
I think the first competition I ever did was the 10-to-1 daiquiri competition. You had to make a riff on a daiquiri. So growing up, I lived with a Jamaican family for many years, and Lorna used to make pineapple upside down cake. And so, sorry, we're testing the activations now, so you're just hearing all these sound effects in the background.
Oh, good.
So for us though,
I can edit stuff. It's fine. Guys, this is a real show they're really at a location, so you get all the ambiance.
Truly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I made a pineapple upside down cake daiquiri. And I used a combo of like sherries, cinnamon, baking spices to make a syrup, and then I also did like a fire roasted pineapple syrup, and then I combined those two, and I balanced it out with citrus, and that was the daiquiri. Yeah,
it actually sounds delicious. I'm gotta learn more. Are there any future competitions that speak to you, or what? When you said they have to speak to you in a certain way, what exactly speaks to you from these competitions? Like, is it the rule book? What attracts you to them?
I don't know. I suppose so. I get inspired to make different cocktails all the time. Like I'll have an idea and I'll be like, "Oh my God, I should make this cocktail sometime," and I'll write it down, or I'll have like a mental note of like cocktails that I've always wanted to try to create, but I either don't have the time or I just haven't, like everyone's time is precious, right? So it's cool to have an idea to make a cocktail, but for me, I don't really just create things randomly. I do it for a reason. Like I'm either doing it for a competition or for a pop-up or for, I want to be doing it for something greater than just my mere curiosity.
Huh.
So if I'm scrolling through my Instagram and I see like, oh, Great Jones is doing a Manhattan competition, make a riff on a Manhattan, and I'm like, oh, I've always wanted to make an apple pie Manhattan. Let's do it. So that's one that I did, but I guess that's what I mean when I say I only apply to competitions that speak to me. Also like Speed Rack, Kitty's done Speed Rack. It's all about like speed round building, and it really just kind of like tests your skills on like how to execute cocktails quickly and intentionally and well. So like that competition is very different in the sense that it will like make you a better bartender, like skill wise. So yeah,
I was unfamiliar with Speed Rack until I was looking into your profile. So do you mind expanding a little bit for the people who have never heard of it? What's Speed Rack?
Yeah, so Speed Rack is a all femme bartending competition where all the proceeds are donated to breast cancer research. And it was created by two amazing, like, strong women in the industry. And it's all centered around speed round building. So round building is when you build multiple cocktails at one time, and it's all about execution, dilution, balance, temperature, and you have to learn how to build like 4 cocktails at once in a way that is as accurate, as fast, and as perfect as possible. So it's something that is definitely really challenging, you know, like speed bartending competitions is like really nerve-wracking, and I admire anybody who attempts to do it.
I spilled rum making my Mai Tai by myself at the kitchen with no one watching. You're out there racing against people and racing against the clock.
Yeah.
And part of I always want to thank everyone in the service industry, because I don't think you guys get your flowers as much as you deserve it. Because people like to bitch about, hey, you don't like to thank people for good experiences. I think humanity this kind of sucks about it. A lot of people, they're quicker to complain than to say that they appreciate something. So the fact that both of you could execute at a fast level with great execution, or make up something with rumplements when the pressure's on and you have a bunch of people like, I want something to drink. Like, that is intense. Like, that's an intense skill set that people don't give you guys enough credit for. So from me, for all the assholes who aren't thanking you, thank you very much for everything that you do, and it's impressive. So keep it going. The fact that you go then say, not only am I stressed and running around and a club star and all that, now I want to go see if I can compete against people, is wild to me. And I wonder about the glutton for punishment thing, Alexandra.
That's a cool question.
That's a different kind of podcast. So this is for the Patreon only. So from a technical aspect, for both of you, like, what's a drink on your menu that's the most difficult to execute in the middle of a hellish Friday night or a crazy day?
Hellish Friday.
A hellish Friday. From a technical standpoint versus like
most bottle pickups. I don't know.
You know,
Cobra Spang's pretty high up
you know,
there.
it's hilarious. So I think because we have like created really tight systems for our program to succeed, virtually everything that's on the menu, everything we've ever had on the menu before, even if it's not on the menu now. Like when we first opened, we had the Demerara dry float on our menu. Just because it's not printed on the menu right now doesn't mean that we can't still make it, but it's just not in our wells actively. But we still have batches, we still have all the ingredients. Like to give you a little preview, the Cobra Spang's coming off, but we'll always be able to make a Cobra Spang because that's a classic, you know?
Yeah.
That being said, when that does happen, I would say because we are so focused on the style of drinks making that we do, the moment someone orders something off menu that's not in the Tiki or tropical lexicon, it kind of like throws everything for a loop. Like the moment that someone orders like an espresso martini, we're like, God damn it, where the fuck is where's everything? Why would you order that here?
Where do you think you are?
Where do you think you are?
A cocktail with 18 ingredients, perfect. Espresso martini, what is wrong with you?
Like that, and also we have such a specific program that I think a lot of people are used to, like, you know, the regular like 1 by 1 inch ice cube and stuff. Most places that have like chip ice or half moon ice, things like that. But because we are a tiki bar first and foremost, a tropical bar, we have pebble ice, and that's basically the ice that we use for about 95% of our cocktails. Again, building our program for speed, all of our cocktails on the menu that are stirred drinks, they're pre-diluted and they're kept in the freezer like a freezer martini would be. And so we can just like pour and send it out so that the guest doesn't have to wait, and it's always going to be consistent, and we never have to like sacrifice a good drink for a long ticket time. But that being said, we also don't have those regular small cubes that everyone has. We have these gigantic 2x2 cubes, and we use that to shake with, to stir with. We crack them down whenever we're serving things, and that does change the way that you physically have to move your body when you shake a cocktail. So if anyone ever orders like a daiquiri, it might take slightly longer than a Mai Tai because our Mai Tais are on tap because we know that that's going to be popular. But if you order like a call daiquiri or an espresso martini and we have to like shake with that big cube, that's going to create the most beautiful and consistent, you know, aerated consistency. But it will take just a little bit longer because we're not using the same ice that a lot of other places use. So that's, I would say for me personally, that would probably be like one of the things that sets us back is like an espresso martini or like a call for, I don't know, like we don't even do Cosmos, but if we had to do a Cosmo, like that would be something that would set us back.
Yeah, that's
Because like
true.
our program is so specific and so built for speed in that way, that we can do classic cocktails and modern classics, but it might take just a little bit longer than a 15 cocktail pickup of a Cobra's thing.
That's so true. Yeah. Kitty wins.
Kitty wins. Honestly, it's very impressive, and it makes perfect sense why you guys are all very well recognized as one of the top like up and coming bars. It's one of that program has to be money, right? And it makes sense. I've had your espresso martini comment makes sense. I've been in a cocktail bar and people have walked in and asked for the most, hey, I want 2 Jaeger bombs or something that they really don't have or something that they don't make on a regular basis. And it kind of delays because now they just don't have the ingredients, or they're going to try to they're going to try to keep the patron happy. So they're going to try to come up with something that works, or, hey, this is something like that, but it's not in the program. So you go from this very regimented process to, I could do that, but it'll take a little longer. That's fair.
I would say for us, our Cobra's Fang is probably like the biggest touch cocktail that we have. You have to touch about 7 different bottles before you even start to garnish anything. Between like 2 different types of bitters, we have 1 teaspoon of ginger, we have 2 different juices, 1 puree, 1 mix, 1 batch, and then you have to do 5 different garnishes plus the straw. So you're already at like 12 touches, and that's our Cobra's Fang. Like that's our house spec for a Cobra's Fang.
Yeah.
But the moment that you ask us to make like a gin and tonic, like we don't have tonic on the gun, we don't have ginger ale, we don't have like the usual, sodas that most places have. And so when we're making a gin and tonic, we're using like tonic syrup from Tomer's Tonic, and it's going to take a little bit longer, strangely enough, than your Cobra's Fang because of that.
That's actually kind of that's funny, but it makes sense. It perfectly fits. Speaking of your bar program and everything that you're doing there, I know we spoke a little bit earlier about the low waste philosophy. Do you mind expanding on that for those at home? Because I think it doesn't always resonate with those not in the industry about food waste and everything like that. So people just see the drink show up and don't understand the back of it. So if you don't mind.
Yeah, I would say that the biggest thing that's facing most bars right now is that a lot of these ingredients that we use are kind of like single use in a way. Like you might juice all your limes, lemons, oranges, grapefruits in-house and everything, but unless you're peeling them or unless you go through all these peels in like one day, you're probably not using the entire fruit. Or if you're juicing fresh pineapple, which is like, really hard to do in general and also very expensive to do, are you using the skins? Are you using the fronds? What happens to those things? Like that usually just get like tossed out. There is a program to do composting in New York City, but it's not necessarily like a blanket thing that's kind of systemized within the state. So not a lot of bars are incentivized to do that or partner with people who would help them with their food waste. And so when it comes to the way that I like to approach cocktails, I want everything to make sense. Like that's just more mindful in terms of like when you're garnishing, when you're creating something. Think about like all of the labor, all of the hours, all of the people whose lives are affected by this thing, right? From the farmers who grow your fruit to the people who cut the cane to the people who bottle your rum to the distillers and everyone else. And at the end of the day, like there's other people's labor involved in terms of this person who's coming into your bar and spending $20 on a cocktail. If that's going to, be the cycle of this transaction that we do in the world that we live in, one, it has to mean something. It has to be intentional. It has to be good. It has to be worth their money and time and labor. But also, hopefully, it should be paying homage and respect to the raw material that we're using. Like we think of ourselves as like, human higher food chain thing. But we are all still part of this earth. And one day we will all return to the earth. And I think that if we're going to invest in the future, to be sustainable isn't just sustainable for us right now in terms of like how we can build in cleaner energy, but sustainable as a bar program, sustainable as an industry, sustainable as a species. If we keep on cutting cane the way that we do, if we keep on, only planting the clones of agave plants and not letting them seed, agave is going to die in like the next 10, 20 years. And that doesn't help anyone, So maybe it's just like a small drop in the bucket, but at the very least here, we can be mindful about what we're doing and producing. And it might not move a whole needle because it's the one person against the industry that it is. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try.
I 100% agree, but I also think that it takes one to start building momentum, right? So I know here in Orlando we have Renata. She's she's the bar manager at the Michelin star restaurant Kaya. She follows a very similar, hey, it has to be in season, zero waste. We have to make sure everything is used. If it's part of the restaurant, we'll work it into a cocktail. Like, they are very, very strategic. And their Filipino food and everything is very, very meticulous and very regimented. Like, they don't mess around. And it's similar thought processes. We have to be mindful of this. This is going to have a long-lasting impact. And for those who only focus on the business aspect, you're throwing out money. I think about, the future and the world and all the other stuff. But for those, capitalists that want to make sure that they just focused on the cost, it also makes no sense to not find other uses for these things. Utilizing them in probably oleosacrums, like the peels, everything like that. Or, hey, we could use them in a cordial. We could do something like that. It just makes logical sense. It might take an extra step, but you're going to just make a massive difference in the long run. So even if you feel like it's just one, I think there's a lot of people behind this movement. And I appreciate that you guys are doing that. And I know that you earlier said that it was the strong backbone was established by Christopher Stanley on this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You see, he started with that backbone. Now you've adopted it. It's going to keep going. It's not just one. But it's awesome to see it. When we talked about just that redeemed fruit cordial, do you mind talking to me about that? I was a little bit unfamiliar until I did this research.
For sure. I would say I was really lucky when I first moved to the city. I started working at Sunday in Brooklyn, which is now part of the larger Sunday Hospitality Group. And before I got there, the bar manager was actually Claire Sprouse, who is from former Hunky Dory. Claire is really good friends with Ivy, who also started Speed Rack. And Claire's just like this really great, mindful, intentional person who really does care about more sustainable like cocktailing. Like, she was the one who really pioneered a lot of these initial conversations back in like this is crazy to say, in like the mid 2010s, 10 years ago.
Got an AARP card in the mail. Hold on. Go ahead.
But like, these are all things that I think we I don't think it's anyone's fault that we weren't mindful back then, but now that we're aware of the fact that like there are better, more intentional, more efficient ways of using the whole fruit, this is something that we should build into our cocktail program. So basically, when Claire was the head of Sunday in Brooklyn, she came up with this redeemed fruit cordial, which basically takes all of the offshoots, all of the, whenever you cut fruit, if you cut off the butt ends of your fruit, usually that stuff gets tossed away. Whenever you're, like at the end of the day, we don't really save our cut fruit garnishes when it comes to like, lemon wheels, orange wheels, stuff like that. Usually that stuff like gets thrown out. But instead of throwing out all those day-old garnishes that aren't pretty enough or aren't fresh enough to be used the next day, she came up with this basically one-to-one cordial of taking whatever spent fruit products you have and then just macerating that with sugar, mixing it all up the same way that you would do like an oleo saccharum, but this time with fruit and juice and those spent fruit peels and everything. Letting it sit, macerate, let those fruit juices and the fruit oils come out to perfume the actual cordial. And then just kind of turning it into an all-purpose syrup, pretty much, like if you're looking for that juicy fruit flavor, if you just want like a little bit of this like citrus note, it also doesn't have to be just citrus. You can also like throw in other things in there, but I would say for most bars, it's a lot of like citrus offcuts. You just, make that one-to-one portion by weight, mix it up, let it sit for a couple of days, strain it all out, and then you have a really beautiful citrusy, fruity, juicy syrup that you can use for mocktails, you can use for cocktails, and it's something that's like way more self-sufficient and sustainable because you're always going to have spent fruit, you're always going to have something left over, but instead of throwing those things out, you can kind of give it a second life with this redeemed fruit cordial, hence redeemed fruit cordial.
When I saw that, I thought it was a brilliant idea. If it wasn't for the fact that I get yelled at all the time for how much room I'm taking up in the fridge, I would probably do more oleos and random things like that. I already have an extra fridge just for cocktail stuff. But it makes perfect sense. I wish more people did it because I think they would find a lot more creative uses for these products, right? You're going to have these these different cordials, these different oleos, these different syrups, all this that you could use for a cocktail that you never thought about putting a flavor profile together until this, hey, this is what I have. So definitely an interesting way of approaching sustainability, and it makes sense. I noticed something, at least in Orlando, Florida, it feels like there's this little world of bartenders. Like everyone's worked at the same bar, like 8 bars, and it's kind of, everyone knows each other. And it seems like everyone kind of gravitates from bars. Alexandra, from your experience, did you feel that, I mean, both could answer this, you feel like there's kind of like a revolving door, like every bartender knows each other, they all kind of like exist and they're very familiar with each other? I know industry nights is a very sacred thing, but is that your experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are certain people who want to be a part of the community aspect of the industry, and I think those people all do tend to know each other. Something that really drew me to the industry in the first place was its deep sense of community, especially in New York. I think I found community where before I didn't have it.
Okay.
So I think it's like a really, really beautiful thing. I think those people who do want to find each other. And the support in New York is like really unparalleled. It's really, I've met so many amazing, passionate human beings who work in this industry. I feel like we're all just kind of misfits, you know? And it's just so wonderful and perfect. And there are so many lovely human beings. Competitions also, like you'll meet people doing that as well. And going to events like Tales of the Cocktail or BCB, right, where like all these bartenders from like all over the world will come together, and you get to meet people, you get to try their cocktails, and you're like, oh my God, you're amazing, where do you work, you know? And then you start developing relationships with people. Like I went on this trip with Barilito to Puerto Rico, and that's how I met Tamara from Permanent Vacations. And at the end of the trip, she was like, oh my God, we're coming to New York and we're going to bartend at your bar. And I was like, that's so crazy, you know? But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Oh, it does. It does.
Yeah.
It's like a small world of, you find like-minded people, you end up in this kind of nucleus of bartenders with the same passion. Barilito, ironically, we have Eduardo Bacardi was on the show. He actually sent me a bottle of, I think 5 or 4 star. So I've in the back.
Oh, nice.
You spoiled.
Hell yeah.
Spoiled. I'm so tired, Alexandra. I'm always doing stuff. No, but he was actually on the show 2 episodes ago. Great dude. He actually said, hey, if you're in Puerto Rico, let me know. And towards the end, I always ask everyone a question about their Deathbed cocktail. I asked him what his was. He specifically said he used 4-star for all his Deathbed cocktails. I was like, I don't have that because it's only in Puerto Rico. Thanks, Eduardo. He's like, I'll send you one. I was like, whatever. He sent one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I haven't opened it yet. But when you brought that up, Barilito, I was like, yeah, they're actually really good friends of the show too. So love that.
Great people.
So I know that you kind of, I didn't get to ask, are you both originally from I know Kitty's Jersey. Alexandra, are you New York?
I'm from upstate, which is a completely different universe. I'm from Watertown, which is an hour north of Syracuse. It's just this teeny tiny little town, cows and everything, you know?
I worked there for a project one time. Okay, another time. Watertown. Yeah, I went to upstate New York to do a project for my previous job.
You went to Watertown?
Yeah, I had to go there I'll tell you later. When it's not recorded.
Okay.
When it's not being recorded. Mind your business, everyone at home. So, yeah, because I said I was born and raised in New York City. I lived there until I was 26. So I lived on 182nd in Amsterdam and Manhattan. Like city forever. So that's why I was familiar with how to get to all of the locations when I visited New York City bars. But so one of the things I want to talk about, especially with both of you, when the New York industry, I'm from New York, and I'm not repeating it for people like, oh, of course he's going to bring up New York. New York is a very different world, right? And everyone's a lot more accepting. And but the world's had to evolve and change. Now, when we're talking about just the industry, which is typically historically male dominated or male presenting dominated, like how do you feel that New York City is kind of evolved and changed, and how is that dynamic gone? Or do you feel, and I'm saying this from my perspective, from friends I have here, that a lot of female bartenders, all that, have had to work twice as hard to prove their merit or worth in that space that's male dominated, especially Florida, because we know what kind of color state that is. How's that experience been for you both?
Want to go first?
Sure. Getting to the point where you're even allowed to be considered as a bartender, that was hard. I had wanted to bartend for as long as I could remember. And it was just impossible for someone to take a chance on me. Right. I had to get to the point where, and I know this sounds, I'm just going to say it.
Say it. It's my show. You can say whatever you want here.
Oh my God, this is crazy. I'm getting chills. So I kind of had to like cater to this man's ego so that he would allow me to, so he would teach me how to bartend. This is not someone who I really truly respected, but I knew that I had to kind of put up with him and deal with him in order to learn how to become a bartender. I feel some shame about it, to be honest. But once I was able to be taught, I then tried to apply to like many different bars. And I can't lie, like they treat you differently because you're a woman,
Mm-hmm.
You aren't seen as fast or strong or capable, you have to really truly prove yourself. And it depends on the bar that you're at. I think, each environment is unique and different, but I mean, for me, even now, like being in charge of a program, like I know that my opinion is not valued as highly as a man's, which is, it's hard and it sucks, and it's true. You do have to kind of work twice as hard to prove yourself. Thankfully at PL, I don't have that experience. Thank God. But yeah, I still think that there is plenty of room to grow. There currently, women do actually dominate the industry. It's just that we do not dominate leadership roles, right? So like, that's where like, it's not quite as fair, right? Like there aren't as many female owners.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think the more we can keep clawing and fighting our way to the top, like hopefully one day, like we will change. I think New York, just being like the heart and the center of a lot of culture, does make it so that this is kind of where a lot of the growth starts happening. So I don't know. I'm happy to be in the thick of it, and hopefully I can inspire change and I can encourage, I don't know if that really
perfectly answers. Yeah. Perfectly answers it. And I'm not gonna lie to you. I could say this because I don't work with anyone in the industry. It really kind of makes me angry that you had to experience all that, and I can't help that feeling because I can't imagine how frustrating it is. But even as a like I'm a minority, but I still have the advantage of being a dude, right? So even trying to enter into spaces that we're not welcome as even minorities, I can't imagine also then dealing in a space that's so heavily male dominated. Like it's insanely frustrating that you both had to deal with that in your own ways, right? Because obviously you're brilliantly talented, as multiple times that you've been highlighted, Kitty, on magazines and articles, and obviously Alexandra, you've been killing it. You're doing all these contests, putting in the grunt work, doing all the stuff that you're supposed to get where you should be. But for some reason, someone will be like, "Nah, too pretty." What the man? Like, what is wrong with you? I would lose my goddamn mind. I'm also a big brother. This is personal stuff. I'm a big brother to a household full of like my mom, my aunt, my two female cousins, and my sister. So I'm the guy that's always like, you better fucking be nice. Whoop your ass.
Yeah.
I'm twice their size, so half the time I could throw people for them. Enough of that, because that's violent. Kidding.
I love a little violence.
Violence is, look, back in the day, duels were warranted. Kidding.
Bring back duels.
Yeah, I promise you, people are going to stop being as mean if it's like, I pick him as my champion. Hi. I'm going to choke you. Can you tell me about, like, from your experience and perspective, especially now in a leadership role and you are spotlighted a lot. How does that experience been with you?
Yeah, I think that I feel like I have a very unique experience. I feel like even from a very young age, I saw myself as someone like in the margins, as like, just to share a little bit about me, I'm Filipino American, first generation immigrant. I'm queer, I'm non-binary.
Mhm.
I'm like for a very big part of my life, I had to deal with a lot of, and I still do deal with like a lot of internalized racism, just because of the pressure that it is on us to assimilate and to be like, even though Filipinos don't necessarily have to deal with the same pressures as a lot of East Asian folks do, there's still this idea of like the model minority myth of being good enough, of if you speak well enough and if you educate yourself well enough and if you hold yourself to a high esteem and if you're, very prim and proper, that you will one day be accepted into white hegemony, which is not true. Like that is just a vestige of this caste system that pits us against each other. And that's something that like really grounds my experience, not only as a person, but also as a professional in the industry, where I, very much like Alexandra, and I feel like anyone who has a lot of heart and vision and care and passion for this, I wanted to be this. Like I saw Coyote Ugly and I was like, girls in power doing cool shit and like not having to be in an ops job, that looks awesome. And I want to do that. And then the reality is that it doesn't matter how much passion you have, it doesn't matter how much love you have or how hard you work. Sometimes it really is just a question of access. And it's a question of whether or not someone is going to give you the chance because of no other reason than like they see something in you, they recognize your talent, and they want to invest in you. Like I didn't realize this, but years and years later, after I had already moved to New York City, there was this whiskey bar that I was working at in New Jersey. And I was really excited. I was like, dude, this is like my favorite bar. Like, I love going here. I love learning about whiskey. That was like my first love of spirits. And then the bar manager that I had told me, like, yeah, I was really fighting for you to get back behind the bar, but the folks in charge just didn't think that you looked the right part. Just like, what does that mean? They're like, Kitty has tattoos. Kitty has like a certain style. You have a very similar style. This is like all very, like whiskey is like my thing. They're like, yeah, well, Kitty just doesn't have the right face for what we're trying to portray. And this is in New Jersey, like it's not that far away from New York. And then, further along the line, there was someone else who was just like, yeah, I'll teach you everything I know. Like the bar industry doesn't have to be a boys' club. But when it came down to it and times got tough, as the only femme presenting person on that bar team, it was my shifts that got cut. When things like that happen, that's something that I see as a systemic issue, right? Like that we, again, like as much as we are like the island of misfits toys, as much as we, have so many people of like different colors and creeds and neurodivergence within the industry that are drawn to this industry because of that, freedom and that kind of flow state that we can be in. We are not immune to the same power structures and systems that our society is ingrained in. Like at the end of the day, we might be, slinging drinks and dealing with alcohol and making all these incredible like memories and experiences. And hospitality is something that truly transcends the transaction. But if the people in ownership and higher management are still, white, straight hedge fund dudes who wanted to open up a bar so that they could do cocaine after the bars are closed,
After.
then that's still the same system as whoever is like in those offices down in Water Street. We cannot divorce ourselves and think that we are like immune from this because we're still operating under the same umbrella and under the same guise. For me in management, what that looks like is being very mindful and intentional about understanding where my blind spots are, making sure that I'm creating a culture and building a team that one looks more like me, but also doesn't look like me. Like I want there to be more queerness. I want there to be more femmes. I want there to be more like people of color in our space. I want, again, like when we're creating spaces, when we're creating bars and opening things, it's not just about making sure that everyone like feels safe. It's about actually doing the work to create it. Working at a space, one of the first bars that I worked at in New York when I first moved here, I felt really safe with the staff because all of us were people of color. We were all queer. There was a lot of femmes, and we were all working in Williamsburg and having a really fun time. But ownership and management were not paying us properly. Our tips were going nowhere or disappearing. And it's one thing to be used as the face of a bar, to be like, the identity that everyone feels safe around because they're like, oh, queer fun femmes. Oh my God, I'm getting my Aperol spritzes and having so much fun. But are we still being given the equity or the access to education that other people are being given? Or are we just being used as a symbol of progress without actually making progress? And I think that's the difference between what's going on right now versus the work that I hope that the industry goes towards. There's It's one thing to be like, yes, queen girl boss. It's another thing to be like, hey, identity politics can only get us so far until we have to get into the nuance of the intersections of our identities, the intersections of our oppression. Because unless we're protecting the most vulnerable of us within the industry and outside of the industry, none of us are protected, And this is something that I can say both as my own personal experience and as someone with a psychology and gender and women's studies minor, but this is something that is very present in all industries and across the world. We cannot divorce, again, the global south from the global north. We cannot divorce ourselves from, we don't exist in a vacuum. We exist with and around each other, and we have to protect each other and ourselves. And the only way we can do that is by doing the individual work. And that's been the hardest thing for me to both reckon with as someone who has had to deal with that. And as someone now in management who's constantly checking themselves to be like, am I hiring this person based on merit? Or do I've had people critique me before for being like, oh, Kitty is a feminist, but they don't hire any female bartenders. It also doesn't behoove me to hire women behind the bar if they're not qualified for this job. That's I think the nuance that people forget.
I need you to talk to her in front of my employees, but go on.
I know that it was hard for me to come up in this industry. I know that it was really hard for Alexandra to come up in this industry. And it doesn't behoove us to, applaud each other over the basics when we really should be advancing forward. We can't just say you're doing a great job when you're not doing the job. You have to do the whole job. You have to, the merit still counts despite or even in regards to the identity.
Yeah.
Those both have to be a thing.
And the lack of merit, if this is not to get to the other topic, but the lack of merit would often be a negative impact if you were to move someone up. Because if they failed, then the people who were saying that I hate the term that person was a DEI hire and look, they're terrible. It's like, that doesn't help our plight, right? We're trying to get to the point where those disenfranchised or groups of people that aren't as well represented, aren't in the forefront. And we talked about leadership roles. I hate when Fortune 500 companies say, oh, we have a massive focus on DEI. Our 65% of our employees are minorities. Like, yeah, but who's in charge? You ain't slick. Two more clicks of research and I found that you're a liar. When I've been frustrated when I find leaders that say, I want to promote that person because they're black and non-black and I want to give more space for African-American employees. It's like, well, are they good? Well, he's had his shortcomings. Are they good? Because remember, you're promoting him and there are a bunch of people sitting back there waiting for him to fail to be like, aha, told you. So who are you helping? Really think about who are you helping with that decision. And I love the fact that you self-identified. Let me make sure the person has to be right. Yeah, it would help to also be someone who represents what multiple areas of how they identify, race, age, hell, experience levels, everything like that. But the fact that you self-identify and check the bias, I think is fantastic because it shows a real attribute of a true leader. So commend you again. You see, I keep giving you flowers. I gotta stop this, Kitty. I'm not trying to get a job. I promise you. Keep saying the right things, and shit, I might apply.
Well, thank you. I mean, I would say, to end, the one thing after 10 years of being in this industry of trying to work up and eventually work at my dream bar that I had to move back away from because I felt unprotected in that space at the time, was when I finally put in my notice. This predominantly white but very femme space, cool femmes all working together. The one thing that was really disappointing when I finally had to put in my notice was damn, I was so excited to have you behind the bar because we finally got one. And I was like, what does that mean? And as uncouth as it was, they were yeah, there's a lot of white faces behind this bar, but you're a person of color and that's a really great representation of us. And I was like, that boils down, that makes me feel worse because now none of my experience counts, right? Or that whether or not that's true, now I feel, despite the fact that I know that I worked 10 years for this, that this has been like my dream job. Did I just get my dream job because I look the right part now, as opposed to like back then when I didn't look the right part for that other job? Like that discounts everything that I was hoping for and had dreamed of, like for myself.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be given a pass just because. In the same way that I don't think that like Alexandra would feel good about knowing like, yeah, she was the only female hire because they needed to have a woman on the team. Like you get the job that you get because you're the right fit and because you put in the work and also because like you have the right work ethic. All things should have to align in order for that to happen. And I think that's where we like lose like sight of things. We lose the plot sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that even in a busy city like that, something that you can't really avoid, diversity, right? That there's still those concerns in every industry. And we talked about it, you spoke about it earlier, is just remembering who's in charge and how, regardless of what you see in the forefront of things, it's remember who's still in charge in some situations. Not all, obviously, you know, the world is hopefully continuing to go in the right direction. Fuck 2026 so far. But it's something that hopefully you, especially with what the work you're doing in your industry and everything that you've been representing, it continues to grow and foster. We have people out here that are doing it. I have certain people all around the world. And this month, the March being International Women's Month, it really shown how many people are in the spirits industry of not male. Like it has been a lot of fun to be able to highlight those. So I'm glad that we're able to have this discussion and see how it's slowly but surely evolving. And you won't, I don't know if you could say it, but fuck your old bar for saying we finally had one. I don't work for anywhere out there, so I can be mean. Like I can say whatever I want. I do want to talk real briefly about the bar back to bartender program. I know that we have limited time. Do you mind kind of giving us some insight on that and why the mentorship is so central to your leadership style?
Yeah, I think that being a bartender, it's hard. Don't get me wrong. Like it's a lot of emotional labor. It's a lot of like labor outside. It comes with its pitfalls of our relationships with substances and addiction and everything else, like all of those things. But when it comes to like actually making drinks, like the making and learning drinks part is not the hardest part. It's the human aspect of it, right? And so I think that it's really important that everyone has access to that education. I know that once I moved from New Jersey to New York, like not a lot of things were really different. It was just the fact that New York has more access as a larger and a bigger global market than any town in New Jersey does. And so that's really what made the difference between whether or not I was able to learn and develop these systems and techniques versus anything else that I had learned previously. That being said, we've rejiggered the bar back to bartender training program a couple of different times. We tried to do one with all the different bartenders paired off with their bar backs, but I think the beauty and the strength and the weakness is the same thing, where everyone has such different experiences that you're going to learn different things from different bartenders, which is great when you're looking for someone who like is really in tune and knows how to teach. But just because you know how to do the job doesn't mean that you're capable of teaching someone else how to do the job. And that's something that we found a pitfall in, was that we had these really experienced bartenders that had no patience for teaching anyone. They're like, okay, I don't know if that's helping the barbacks who are eager to learn. So we rejiggered it to be more of like a one-on-one thing, where I would personally work with one of our barbacks that we're going to promote and push them up and give them all the tools and education needed. But then we realized after like the third person that we started working with that it wasn't really fair and it wasn't giving everyone else the time or the access to also learn if it's just going to be a one-on-one and if I am the only person who could do this. So we've now changed again to now our third iteration, which is more of a classroom style, which is something that I have always like really like found is helpful and helps people succeed a little bit more because it gives them the option to learn at their own pace. If someone has already learned everything about gin and they feel comfortable in their gin knowledge, they can skip the gin class and that's totally okay. But if they've never worked with Japanese style jiggers, if they've never double jiggered before, if they don't know or are familiar with the terms of round building or order of operations, things like that, then here's the 103 class that's going to be probably really helpful for you. And we've had a really great turnout. Our classes are open to everyone on staff. So not just front of house, but back of house. And it's been a really cool experience to once a month at the last Wednesday of every month, see both barbacks, bartenders, servers, and some of our like line cooks come into these classes and really engage with in the material. And I think that's something that's been really cool because some of them also have bar jobs at other places. And for them to be like, I know that I'm not ready to bartend at Paradise Lost, but I'm really grateful that I have access to education here and I can practice what I've learned at Paradise Lost at my other job. That's really cool that we still get a chance to like help them build on skills or develop skills that they wouldn't have previously been able to.
I really enjoy that. I'm going to ask you a question off air about that because I think it makes sense, especially investing in the people that are already passionate about it right in front of you, and not outsourcing your talent, building from within, and they know and they know how you want to operate. They know how the location operates, and they're familiar with the mission, company's mission, and all that. So yeah, makes sense. Just I like it, and I like the fact that you were able to take a look at a program, not once, not twice, to make sure that it fit and didn't just, yeah, that's really, man, I can answer you. Like, I know I want to kind of get through some rapid fires because you guys are really busy, and I would love to talk to you for like the next 4 hours, but apparently you guys are going to have a meeting at 6. I don't know. So real quick, so this is for both. One of the favorite questions for all bartenders is when you are not working, where do you go to decompress and drink in New York City or anywhere?
Where do you go to what?
Where do you go to drink and decompress? Where do you grab a cocktail?
3, 2, 1. Romeo's.
Where's Romeo's?
I love Romeo's so much. Romeo's is close to us. You can walk there from here.
It's on St. Mark's and First, like it's in between First and
I think
Why Romeo's?
Yeah. Oh man, I feel when I walk through that door, I think mainly because of the staff. I can walk in and I feel like I can just kick my feet up and chill and relax. It's like all the staff, they're just the kindest people, and the drinks are delicious. They have this pistachio Mai Tai that's delicious. I know you like your Mai Tais, so I thought I would tell you that. And yeah, like all the drinks are just crafted with intention and crafted very well. But it's a relaxed environment, right? Where people can just come and chill and hang out and be themselves. So I love going there. That's always where I'm drawn to go. But what about you?
Yeah, I would say it depends. Usually if I'm trying to like decompress and I don't know, my life is cocktails. Like all I do is like think about cocktails and in that kind of a sense. So I would say I go to Attaboy and Angel Share, which are two really big powerhouses in New York City that help me both recenter and re-examine my relationship with hospitality and service. I feel like every time I go to those two spaces in particular, not only because they're like these really big legacy bars, Angel Share has been around for 30 years, which is awesome and insane to think about in this like very fast-paced, constantly evolving city, that there's still so much to learn and so much to glean from people who have experience who are still checking themselves and making sure that they don't necessarily rest on their laurels. Like they're still evolving, they're still growing. And so that's something that I can sit down. I always know I'm going to have an amazing drink. I'm going to have really great service, really great hospitality, and I can kind of decompress in that way and just meditate on like the cocktail and be inspired by that. But I really truly just want to like dissociate. I would say I love going to a dive bar. Like I love going to Blue and Gold. They've got a tiny little pool table in the back. $8 Lagavulins, which is crazy in New York City in the East. Yeah, you can get like a lot.
$8 anything in New York City.
For a 2-ounce pour, that's wild.
$8 like, anything in New York City is crazy. What are we talking? I want to go there.
Also, it's like this underground bar. Like the owner like lives in the apartment right above it. They have no intention of ever raising their prices. They're like, yeah, sure, whatever. Lagavulin, also the same price as Sambuca, also the same price as like Fireball. I have no idea what cost is, and none of this means anything to me. And I'm like, yes, I love that. Give me 10 picklebacks now, and I want it with Sazerac rye because it's going to be $5. $5
for Sazerac rye? That's it?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I was
All
about
I
to
know
say,
like I didn't have to spend that.
We're gonna check on that man's finances.
But gold for sure. International bar is awesome. If you ever just like want to like see like a true like New York institution, like right where there's so many things happening. And then a newcomer, Banshee, which is owned by my friend Jen. She's like on the new guard of like what Irish American bars are. Someone from Ireland who is like an incredible, mindful queer woman. They do Guinness and oysters, which is a pairing that I wouldn't have thought of, but it works. It's just no frills, not trying to be anything, not trying to pose as anything else. You come in, you sit down, you have your Guinness, you have like a dozen oysters, you have some house-made Irish soda bread with like a little pat of Irish butter that just happens to have some caviar on it, and you feel at peace. Like you truly don't have to worry about whether you're being seen or if you're like, seen or be seen kind of vibes. It really is just like you're going to be taken care of. And I think that's the mission for all bars. Like you're going to be taken care of and you feel taken care of in those spaces.
One, I'm hungry. And two, so I've gone to Attaboys, and I fell in love. I can't tell you what I had because I got really drunk. I just kept letting the bartender pick. I was like, he was like, "Are you in the industry?" It was like, industry adjacent, just whatever you want to make. I'm just here to vibe because I've heard of this location, and it was it was great experience. Everyone there was fantastic. The staff there was amazing and very engaging, and they were checking in, talking, having great conversations. So yeah, I could see why you guys would like to go to those bars, and now I'm going to add some to my list because I always visit, and you might be stuck showing me around. Listen, next question. I'm done. Let's go. I will buy the Lagavulin. All right. What cocktail concept for Paradise Lost? Like you could be based on a horror trope or just some spooky trope, spoopy, as I saw online, Alexandra. Like what concept would you like to experiment with? To create a cocktail based off of? Like,
so this is something that I don't want to like give anything away. There's some like big moves that we are redoing the beverage program to be a lot bigger than it is right now, which is crazy to say considering we have like 30 cocktails on the menu, we have flights and everything else. But what I can say is that the space itself, like as immersive and as chaotic and as like, intense and overstimulating as it is, this space was always meant to evolve with the menu. So I'm really excited to build that into the programming more intentionally, working closely with Kaveh, who's one of the owners, primary owner. He's always had this vision of making sure that the space was never stagnant. And now into year 3, we're finally revisiting that idea. And I'm really excited to see how the space and the drinks work in tandem. Also, dealing with live feedback from the guests. Depending on how you guys interact with our space, the space will change. It might not be immediate, but if you keep your eye on certain things, you will notice things change because of you, which is pretty cool.
That's dope. All right. We're not going to be a spoiler alert here, but just I'll start making travel plans. All right. So what would be your deathbed cocktail?
I can't go first. I need time.
If you like, we can go back. I can give you a much easier question, I think. What is the one ingredient that you think is criminally underrated in all tropical cocktails or in tropical cocktails or tiki cocktails?
Ooh. Criminally underrated ingredient.
Other than spam.
Ingredient?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there's other ways to explore similar flavor profiles that people are looking for. So like whenever we're looking for salinity in a cocktail, because when you add salt to anything, it accentuates what you're doing, right? Like you like season a steak or season your soups. So when we're looking for salinity, you can do that in saline solution, St. James 55, or Clement Bleu. Or if you wanted to like offshoot that, you could do like Clarin. Maybe you could do, I don't know, like a really fun, weird cane spirit from Sicily, which is what we use in our zombie, which is fun. Like the fact that we use like a rum agricole style rum made from, cane in Sicily in our zombie. And that actually is what ties it all together. Same thing with like notes of nuttiness. Like almond isn't the only nut out there. Like there's definitely other like, nutty aspects that you can explore. So toasted rice orgeat or sesame or pistachio for the pistachio Mai Tai at Romeo's is like pretty cool. I think for me personally, I've been obsessed with this combination of miso and maple. So that's something that I'm really excited to experiment with in the future. But I think if we're going to go back into like the idea of like Tiki being inspired by Filipino flavors because of like the bartenders who were behind the scenes when Don the Beachcomber was around, I think that there's a lot to uncover in terms of like reviving those ancestral pieces of knowledge with those ingredients that we have yet to really like see be explored in that way.
Wow.
I love
Yeah.
that. Alexandra?
God damn. How am I supposed to follow that?
I don't.
What?
Hey, you had a choice to go first.
Mistakes were made.
Gotta give you a hard time.
Yeah, man, miso was a good one. Salinity is so valid. Yeah, like salt. Yeah, I have nothing for you.
All good. I mean, miso is something I even try to mess around with, and I will tell you the 100% truth. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. It was really a unique flavor. We fat washed a rye whiskey and red miso to kind of make this. I get bored, and I will experiment and make video game based cocktails or movie based cocktails or whatever. And it was a Ninja Gaiden inspired cocktail, which felt weird to do with miso. I was like, that feels racist, so I'm gonna stop. And I stopped doing it because I was like, that doesn't feel right. That feels inaccurate. But I did experiment with the flavors, and this is weird but good. Miso was different. It wasn't how I expected to come out from that bourbon. Well, that rye. Last but not least, we're going back. What is your deathbed cocktail?
Okay, I think I have one.
Okay, go.
I might have one. Okay. My deathbed cocktail, if I had to have one.
Be clear, no rules. You could pick whatever you want, whatever drink. It could even be a specific drink from a specific bar. Whatever you want.
Okay. I think I might honestly go with, can I do like a top 3?
Sure. Let's do it.
Okay.
I want you to know this is a first. I never give people a top 3. So you're the first.
Yes, if you ask kindly with pureness in your heart.
And because you're going to be my tour guide in New York. So I need to kind of get it good. I have to get it good with both of you. Go ahead.
I would say like, if it's top 3 is probably going to be an Adonis, just because I love like the simplicity and the easiness of it. It's my go-to classic cocktail whenever I just like want to taste something that like brings me joy. If I'm going to a very specific sense memory of something that like I cannot live without, it's probably going to be the Missionary's Downfall at Latitude 29 specifically. One, you don't really see that cocktail around in too many places because it does use like, freshly blended mint and pineapple and everything else. And when you get the balance wrong, you can really taste that like gritty bitterness of like the broken chlorophyll in the mint. But when it's right, it's the most beautiful thing to cut through that like really heavy New Orleans like slog of like like humidity. And I think that's something that is in itself a little taste of paradise, because it's everything that you need to just like make your life worth living again after you've walked maybe one block in the humidity of that town. And then I think last would be, if I could rewind time and mess with the space-time continuum, last cocktail to feel at home and to make peace with returning back to the earth would be a last word at Clyde's in New Brunswick, New Jersey in 2012, when everyone that I loved on that team was like an all-star team. Everyone that I worked with was an incredible person. I never worked at that bar, but I worked around the area, and it was a really powerful time. Like, when you like see, like, I'm not really good at sports analogies, but like whenever Michael Jordan was on the Bulls, like,
historic time.
Yeah, historic times, historic teams. Like, that's what that team was back then. And it was really cool to like walk into that cocktail bar that didn't just serve cocktails. They also served like beer and wine and everything else. But the moment that you like came in, they knew that, at least for me, I would always order a last word first. And they already had it shaken and served in front of me by the time I put my bag down. And that was like, that type of hospitality will always stay with me. And I think that's what I can finally like make peace on this earth with, if I can get that again.
Top 3. Kitty. All right. I love that. I like the last word. I like the riffs. I love all that. So, and Adonis I haven't had in a while. Now I want one.
That one was on my brain too.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Alexandra?
Yeah, so I'm so glad that I went second because I had time. Like, thank you for bringing up like the nostalgic thing, because now I know exactly what it would be. So, the bar that originally inspired me to want to be a bartender, it doesn't exist anymore. It was called ROKC. They moved. Yeah, I know.
I think I've heard that name. Where was that?
Yeah, well, they moved to Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
Right. So now they are operating in Hawaii. So they're not like gone, but they're very far. They also have like a sister spot called NR, that does basically like a very similar thing. But Joji made me this cocktail once, and it wasn't on the menu for some time, but it was called the honey and chamomile. And it was essentially like a riff on a bee's knees as a milk punch. And I have never in my life taken a sip of a cocktail and just immediately felt like I was drinking liquid happiness. Like it reminded me of like summertime running through a field, you know, like in a dress, like with my hair. Like I was like this, I literally said to him, I was like, whenever I get married, this is the cocktail I want everyone to have. Like I have it. It's just the most delicious thing ever. And I wish I could give you some. But yeah, that cocktail just evoked such a visceral emotion and feeling within me. I was like, yeah, no, there's nothing else. And that would absolutely be what I wanted to die with.
Okay. All right, so no top 3. That sounds like more than enough for the top 3 with that one. All right. Well, I love the cocktails, and I'm going to see which ones I could try to make at home, just to see what I can mess around with. But thank you both for being on the show. Where can people find you? Any upcoming events that you're excited about? Are you going to be at Tales of the Cocktail in New Orleans? Kitty, if you want to start, and Alexandra, you can close this out.
Yeah. You can find me here at Paradise Lost, which is where I live.
Social media handles, anything like that.
I am also on Instagram as @Viddy_Kitty, VIDDY_KITTY. I work here in the East Village at Paradise Lost. We are going to be doing a couple more pop-ups. We're going to be up in Rhode Island in a couple of weeks at Esther's High Dive. On the 14th of April, and then we're going to be popping up at Hell or High Water, and that may not be at Tales of the Cocktail, but we will definitely be in New York at least.
Nice.
Yeah.
Alexandra.
Yeah. You can find me on Instagram, Alexandra Marilley. It's just my full name. And you can find me here on Sundays and Mondays. Those are my shifts here. Please don't come to the club restaurant. Don't find me there.
I'm already planning on it.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'll be at Tales. Maybe. The world may never know.
Yeah, who's to say?
Yeah, I am doing a pop-up tomorrow. At ECC. Yeah. I'm part of We Run the World. So Genesis Cruz, she was my boss at Barbelly a couple of years back, and she I would argue that she kind of like was really spearheading like massively, like during Women's History Month, like a ton of female bartenders from all over New York City, like they get together and they come and they all bartend together like an hour at a time, back to back. And it was actually my first time at Barbelly. And it was during one of those pop-ups, and I stood there and I was watching all these badass females just get back there and shake, and I actually just got chills. I was like, what is this place? Where am I? How can I be a part of it? You know? And I think through that I ended up working there, developing a really close relationship with Genesis, and now I'm a part of the pop-up series. So if you're around, come see me tomorrow.
I love to hear it, man. You guys are doing so much. I'm glad we got to lock you in. And I hope, yeah, it meant a lot. Thank you both for coming on, because I really did enjoy everything you did. People speak so highly of you. I've heard about Paradise Lost when I was visiting New York, and I asked a bartender at Death & Co. to give me a list of where he drinks and what he recommends. And you popped up almost immediately. He's like, you got to go to Paradise Lost. You got to go to Attaboy's. And he just went through the list. I actually have the card from Death & Co. that gives me a list of bars. That's why I said you're going to get added. All the bars that you've mentioned today that I can go to, I will. So again, thank you for coming on the show. Guys, for everyone listening at home, please like, subscribe, but support Paradise Lost, everything they're doing. Keep an eye out for their upcoming menu. Buy Spam and put in your cocktails. We don't know what it'll turn out like, because it's apparently amazing. But make sure that you drink responsibly if you enjoy what we're doing. Follow at Last Call with Arthur. We try to maintain social media pretty busy, but if you're enjoying the videos, enjoy the cocktails, enjoying what we're doing, share with a friend, share with an enemy, share with everyone. Drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive. Don't text your ex, and avoid Amazon while click buy, unless it's for us. Take care, guys, and we will see you next week when we continue to highlight the people that you want to speak to, those minds behind the bars, and some spirits and people with interesting lives. So we'll be back. See you next week. Bye, guys. Hey, guys. Today's episode is brought to you by Burn Termite and Pest Control. I first met Joe Byrne on Full Frontal Nerdity Show and decided to give his company a try. They have been the best pest service I've ever had. From flexible scheduling, attention to detail, fair pricing, and everything you love about a small business, I highly recommend Joe Byrne and Burn Termite and Pest Control. It's a family-owned and operated business with over 30 years of experience in termite and pest. You can reach Burn Termite and Pest Control at 321-297-7985. Once again, 321-297-7985. And let them know Bourbon and Bullshit sent you. Thanks, guys. See you next time.